Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this beautiful Sunday morning, afternoon, or night, depending on wherever you are at in the world. Today, I get the privilege of being joined by one of my best friends, a big Ravens fan. Past year, he's got to see his Lakers and his LSU Tigers hold a national championship and an NBA title. So, life's been pretty good for him lately. Last week, game against Seattle or against the Steelers happens. But Dion, welcome to the show. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, man. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, not too bad. Almost hit a big parlay yesterday in the college football world. Clemson losing that game. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. I know you've been busy. But,
I watched that one. That was a good upset.
Man.
I watched that one down to the wire too.
Yeah, it was a great game, but it hurt the old wallet. But hey, it happens. And
I think that fumble on like the 4-yard line, no one was expecting that. When the quarterback fumbled it. Yeah, it was
Texas beats West Virginia, so just a bad overall Saturday for me. But hopefully the Chiefs can cheer me back up. So we'll go ahead and get started. A little bit of breaking news about 5 minutes ago. Old Pete Carroll gets broke off, adds to the old bank, and adds a bunch of cash. The Seahawks decided that they basically wanted to wrap him up for the rest of his life. There's no report yet on exactly how much the pay is, but they are saying he will be one of the highest paid coaches in the NFL. What's your thoughts on Pete Carroll? Does he deserve to be where he is at and have a gig for the rest of his life out there?
I think he's been great for that system that they have out there in Seattle. He's been a great part of just holding those guys together and bringing in pieces. They've constantly been bringing in pieces every year. They had some issues a while ago with Gordon, not being able to stay off drugs and stuff like that. So a lot of people were upset about that. But, picking up DK Metcalf, that was a steal for them. And he's been balling out this entire season for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to. I mean, they go to the 2 Super Bowls. They win 1. He's been there 10 years. I think he's earned his keep. And whenever you're in that position like Seattle is, I think you've just got to kind of lock him up. Like, hey, let's not get to this contract and push it. Let's keep the old man around. He's going to be smacking gum on that sideline in Seattle for probably the rest of his life as he gets up there in age. So good for old Pete. Dylan telling us Notre Dame is trash. I don't see – yeah, I mean, not a big Notre Dame fan myself, obviously. But I don't see how they're not ranked number 1. They have the best win in the country. And but we'll see what happens when the AP poll drops out here in a few hours. Do you see them being ranked number 1?
You talk to me?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I mean, why not? I mean, every other team normally, when they're undefeated, normally they get ranked number 1, and they beat a big SEC team. So
yeah,
Clemson's been on fire now. Trevor Lawrence wasn't playing, so I don't know if that factors into the AP poll or not, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be fun. I'm excited for the rest of the college year. It's impressive that they've been able to keep it going. Big Ten, of course, not doing what they should, but that's going to take a long time, or it's going to take a lot for college to keep going. But we'll move on to Thursday night's game. Kind of a snooze fest after about the first drive. Yeah. Green Bay, one of the top wide receivers in the league, if not the top wide receiver in the league, and Aaron Rodgers just kind of torch them. San Francisco coming off their Super Bowl run, but they haven't been the same team. They haven't been healthy or anything like that. So what's your thoughts on this game and both teams moving forward?
It's definitely sad to see all of this happening in San Fran, especially for a team that just went to the Super Bowl last year. They had so many injuries. It seemed like no one was able to stay healthy this year, and that definitely shows a lot this season. And then in another side, everybody kind of wanted to see Aaron Rodgers come out and guns blazing. A lot of people have been talking trash about him this week. I know there was a big thing with the Packers supposedly trying to go out and get Will Fuller. And there was a lot of talk back about that. So I think he just came out there and showed, why he's still regarded as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And also Devontae Adams also showing why he's one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Yeah, for sure. Alan Doherty telling us that the AP will stick with Ohio State as number 1. Yeah, I mean, they got their quarterback back there, and he's going to be a future NFL guy. So Yeah, I'm excited to see how that turns out as well. Thanks
Yeah.
for the comment and the love, Doherty. Appreciate that, old football coach. So, but as you said, it is sad for San Francisco, especially, I mean, if you're an AFC team fan like we are, San Francisco is not a big worry for us until the very end. So we want the NFC to be as competitive as possible. And I don't think it has been this year as much as it has in the past. So, but I think they've got to move on to the future. They've got to decide what they want to do with Jimmy G. Do they keep him or do they move on and kind of dump his salary and maybe get some more weapons? Their offensive line's been hurt. They didn't have their left tackle. They didn't have their top 3 wide receivers. They didn't have their top 2 running backs. Like, there's no way um, that you can keep trying to press for this year, no matter how smart you think Shanahan is. As far as the Green Bay Packers, I think they're the same team as they were last year. I think they're a lot of fun to watch. I think they could make a run in the NFC, but once it gets down to like Seattle and stuff, I don't know if they can beat them or the Bucks in the playoffs. I don't see them as a Super Bowl team. I see them as a team that could make a run in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I don't see their defense stopping any of these premier offenses in the NFC, let alone the AFC. The offensive, I do not see them stopping a team.
No, they can't. I agree with that. The Will Fuller thing is very interesting. Another weapon. They had that. Maybe they can keep up with Seattle because their defense isn't as good. But they would only offer him a fourth. And if you're Houston, how it works for contracts. So Will Fuller is done. If he leaves and gets paid money that he's supposed to, Houston would get an automatic third. So there's no reason for Houston to give him up for a fourth if they're just going to get a third next year anyway. And Green Bay wasn't willing to give them a second. Hey, that's a decision if you don't think you win right now, I guess. But we'll go ahead and move on to our next topic. We're going to go ahead and hand out some mid-season awards. This is we just hit week 8. We're going into week 9, so the season is pretty much halfway over. It's an odd number, so we're going to start with who do you think? This isn't guessing who's going to win these awards. This is just who is the leader right now. So MVP, Dion, who you got?
I got to give that one to Russell Wilson for sure.
Yeah.
He's been balling all year. He definitely deserves it. He showed why he can keep that offense together. And a lot of people in most games, they definitely weren't the favorite. And he shows you that, he can definitely run that 2-minute offense better than any quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah, I like that as well. I think the other big front runners, I think it's pretty much him, Mahomes, and Tom Brady. I don't think you can give it to Mahomes simply because this was a Super Bowl team last year. So, they're pretty much where they should be. So there's that. And then, Tom Brady, he's got more weapons than anyone has had. And, they haven't beat the Saints yet. So I don't think, that's what you can go with. So I've got to agree with you on old Russ. When you let Russ cook behind that terrible offensive line, you got to roll with him. So
yeah, definitely considering the fact that Brady and Mahomes just added an influx of free agency, so it's kind of like, the fact that Russell Wilson can accomplish what he has accomplished this season with, the bare minimum players, decent at best offensive line. And, when you look at Mahomes and Brady and all the weapons that they have, it's not even fair to even compare them, really.
Yeah.
Not saying that they're not good players, not trying to take away from what they do, because they definitely do what they do at an extreme high level. But definitely think
you look at Pittsburgh, they're undefeated, so it's hard. Why is no one in the conversation for them? I think it's just such a system and such a whole team effort. Like, there's not one player I can pin on. I mean, you could throw in TJ Watt, I guess, on defense, but how often do these guys win MVP? And maybe if he's not out, they're still winning all them games that they have. Big Ben's been playing well. We're going to get to him here in a minute, but so that's for me why I've got to go with Russ. We'll go ahead and move on to disappointment of the season. We'll go the opposite of that. There's been a lot of disappointments in the NFL this year. Titans, Raiders not wanting to follow protocol under a worldwide pandemic. You've got players that just have fallen off. T.Y. Hilton, nicknamed the Ghost, has definitely been a ghost if you got him in fantasy. Yeah. Blogs telling us that Danny Dimes is Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, he keeps turning over the ball, and with all these quarterbacks coming out, his job is definitely on the line. But my disappointment of the year has got to be Carson Wentz, and I understand that they have a lot of injuries on that offensive line, but the way that this man has just forced situations that don't need to be forced, turned the ball over 12 times, leads the league in interceptions, 12 interceptions. So this man's on pace for 24, 25 picks. And then whenever the checkdowns there, I mean, we've all seen the memes and everything of him and Miles Sanders, and he's 3 yards away and he throws the ball out of bounds. Like, it's just been rough for Wentz. And if you're in the city of brotherly love, I think you know and agree as well. What's your thought on disappointment of the year?
I think I'd go with the entire Vikings team. At the beginning of the season, for sure, I thought that the Vikings was going to ball out this year. They have a really good offense. I thought they added in some good players as well with Justin Jefferson, my boy from LSU. So I thought that he was definitely going to ball out, and I thought that they were going to kill it this year. But it's been the complete opposite of that.
You know, England is a good person, and I consider him a friend. So that's why I didn't want to go in on his team. But I guess since he opened the door and told us that Carson Wentz is a disappointment every season, how about the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy? I mean, did you expect them to be this terrible? And I understand the Dak injury, but I feel like the offensive line is really what the big issue was. They have just looked awful. Just defensive side, I mean, I think they've given up, 25 points in 5 straight games, which is the most in NFL history. I mean, the defense is beyond terrible. And they had Aldon Smith, who has came out of nowhere, after doing all the things he did and played well. So is the Cowboys, were they on your radar when you were going over this?
No, me? No. I don't know. I expect them to be terrible every year. So,
okay. All right. So no expectations.
No expectations. I just expect them to play mediocre, and every year the Cowboys fans are just going to be the loudest fans, and they're going to talk about how they're going to win the Super Bowl, and then they're going to go like fucking 4-10 or something like that, or 4-12, and be shitty, and then it's always going to be some excuse like, oh shit, Zeke was out 1 week, or that got hurt.
Yeah, I feel you. England, hey, man, hit us up sometime and come on the show. We'd love to have you. He's still telling us. A bunch of talent on paper. You got to win the games, though. We'll move on to Offensive Player of the Year. For this one, I've got to go with Alvin Kamara, man. The dude was kind of hurt and banged up last year. He didn't get the touchdowns that he needed to be the fantasy guy that he needed. And when people drafted him, Old Duck took him 3rd overall in a league that we're in, and I was kind of laughing like, man, wow, that's crazy. How are you going to take this man? And it's turned out and it's slapped me in the face. He's been their entire offense with Michael Thomas out.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna go with someone completely different. You'd be completely blindsided by this. I'm going with DeAndre Hopkins for this one. Oh, I don't think a lot of people saw him performing at such a high level as he is playing with that Cardinals offense. I don't think that anybody saw that happening. I mean, that trade completely blew everybody out of left field, and I just didn't think that he was going to be that effective. But he's shown to be, just as good as he was, if not better, with the Texans out in Arizona. He's been balling out every week, putting up good numbers every single week, and that team is now 5-2. Like I don't think I even had them going, playing that well this year. But they're 5-2 right now, and they're looking like a pretty good team overall.
Yeah, sidebar real quick. PBR Hard Coffee is a pretty fantastic beer for, I know, all my people in Asia who happen to watch games at like midnight, 1 a.m. Check out your local shopette for that. But, yeah, D-Hop has been killing it. I mean, you get a new coach, you get a new quarterback, and, there's supposed to be some regression, at least at the beginning of the season, and we haven't seen that at all. He's been doing exactly what he does, and he's just been killing it. And maybe he should be in the MVP conversation. Kyler's numbers look good, and the teams are looking good, and they're playing in a tough conference or tough division. So it's been impressive. Logston, the runner of the show, CEO, the whole reason this all happens, his idea. So he's going to go with Dalvin Cook. Big game last week. Definitely tore it up. We saw, the team has just been bad, so I think that's probably why he might get overlooked, but, he's definitely been balling out and definitely one of the most talented players in the NFL. So after Offensive Player of the Year, we're going to go to Defensive Player of the Year. Who you got for this one, man?
It's hard to tell. There's just been so many outstanding players this year, but if I had to choose, I think I might go with Myles Garrett.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I
He's been
mean,
playing really good. I mean, he lost out on a couple games last season due to some unfortunate situations happening. Got suspended for a couple games, but I think he came back this season, with that revenge in his mind, and he's been playing. It's been showing on the field. He's been playing great.
yeah, for sure. I gotta agree. We're gonna agree with this one as well. I mean, the Browns' defense is not good. He's been doing everything he can. Beating double teams, and you can say the same thing about Aaron Donald over in LA. But I think Myles Garrett's really just been kind of pushing the envelope each week, and he's been just been a nightmare. Leads the league in sacks. So if he can keep getting out there, Browns can make the playoffs. And Dylan Logston, who says not Javion Clowney, will owe me $50. So that'd be a big dub for the old wallet. All right, we're gonna go to rookies now. I mean, big LSU guys. So I mean, hell, half your team last year's in the NFL now. So offensive rookie of the year, who you got?
Of course, you got to go with Joe Burrow. Joe's been playing crazy. I think he averages like 300-some passing yards a game, and that is just amazing considering his offensive line. I don't know how he does it, honestly. They definitely need to go out and get my man some help. I think they did. I saw they traded for like a left guard or something like that recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely need to step it up. GMs need to step it up in the offseason and go out and get an offensive line because, the fact that if he can put up 300 passing yards with a terrible, shitty offensive line, imagine what he can do when he gets some good offensive linemen back there. Maybe they get rid of AJ Green, bring in some younger receivers, free up some cap space to make a good move in the offseason this year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it. I know that. I mean, there's just no way around it. The Bengals. I know you're been getting into the Pat McAfee show. Whenever they talk about the Bengals, there's a crazy thing out there. They do not have an indoor practice facility. So that means if there is lightning or too much rain or anything, the Bengals do not practice. Like that's just a crazy thing to me. NFL organization making millions and millions of dollars cannot afford an indoor practice facility. So a man who is just balling out like that, I think you've got to get him offensive rookie of the year. You could look at Clyde. Unfortunately for him, he's just on a great team. So individual awards to me, I can't hand out like that. So we'll go to defensive player of the year. And I'm going to go with a guy who hasn't got to play a lot, but when he is on the field is an absolute stud and just a pain in every offensive lineman. No one wants to line up against him. I'm going to go with Chase Young, man. Number 2 overall pick. And a lot of people said maybe he should have been number 1. He can get back there. He's one of the reasons the Washington football team is relevant this year.
Yeah. I think I'm going to be a little biased, and I'm going to go with Patrick Queen for this award. He's been playing really good, definitely filled up that middle gap for the Ravens defense, something that we've been lacking for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And that was definitely something that we needed to, re-energize our defense. And he's been playing well, and that whole defense has just been playing well all year. You said don't sleep on red potatoes.
the Nosebleeds have came out with a thing. We said that the Washington Redskins should not have changed their name. They should have changed their mascot. This is Cheech's response. They should have just changed it. Still been the Redskins and just had a red potato as the logo on their side of their helmet. So that's why here at the Nosebleeds, we roll with the red potatoes. An award that is sometimes overlooked, but as a Chiefs fan, comeback player of the year, I have got to go with Alex Smith. I don't know if you've seen the documentary or if you haven't, check it out on YouTube. I mean, it's everywhere. This man almost died because of a leg injury, with infections and stuff. It's terrible, very gruesome. But this dude comes back and he plays 3/4 of NFL football. Was it good football? No. But Aaron Donald jumps on his back and he carries him around after almost dying because of that leg. So I think I have to give it to Alex Smith.
I think I'll go with as much as I hate the Steelers, I think I'd have to go with Big Ben.
Big Ben,
He came back this year and he just re-energized that entire offense. I don't think I didn't see them coming close to beating us last week. And for them to come back in that second half the way that they did after us completely just going up, and beating the hell out of them in the first half for them to just come back like that. And I mean, not to discredit any of the other games that they played this season, but he's played phenomenal.
Yeah, for
You know,
sure.
and I think that's the biggest part of coming back in the NFL is a lot of people, whenever they come back from these injuries, they think they have to come back and be, you know, exactly the way that they were. And I think he just came back and he's clearly not trying not to do, you know, too much. You know, he's a very smart player and it shows. So, you know, he checks the ball down when he has to. He doesn't get in the shitty situations and try to, you know, throw a lot of 50-50 balls. He's just a very smart player, and it definitely shows out there on the field.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's got a great defense, so don't turn over the football. He's got good wide receivers, and Chase Claypool. I think Deontay Johnson is their real number 2, but he's just kind of been hurt. And then you got Juju, who's supposed to be their number 1, but, you know, if you have him in fantasy, you know that he's had about 2 good weeks and has been terrible the rest of the year. So, I mean, his comeback has been unreal. That Steelers team is undefeated. Why we got there last week, the Ravens game, we had a podcast on Thursday, and I said there's 2 ways you can look at this game. As a Ravens fan, I think you can look at this game and say if we don't have 100 yards of penalties and our quarterback doesn't turn it over 4 times, we walk away with this one. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think – how are you feeling as a Ravens fan after that game?
That game was very upsetting to me. And I think we got exposed in like several areas just on offense. To me, it looked like you could tell that these guys do not practice a 2-minute offense. You know, these guys are Lamar Jack. I mean, granted, he's not very experienced. He's only been in the league for like going on 3 years. But this dude's checking the ball down. I think we had like a minute and some change, no timeouts, and you're checking the ball down in the middle of the field. It's like what are you doing? You know, definitely need to be throwing to the outside, trying to get out of the bounds. You know, at least giving your team a chance to win the game. Yeah. And to me, it definitely kind of showed. And then also just us, whenever we play down, it's like, you know, we're definitely a running team. And it just shows that, you know, we definitely cannot get the ball to our wide receivers to come back. You know, it's impossible to come back when you only got a minute on the clock and you're still trying to run the ball or you're still trying to run the option. It's like it's too predictable. You got to be able to switch it up.
Yeah. Do you think that is the coaching staff? Do you think that's just them knowing Lamar's limitations? Because that offensive coordinator was the same OC with Kaepernick, and they kind of had the same issues. You know, they were great for the first 3 quarters, or, you know, unless it was a 2-minute drill. Do you think it's the OC out there? Do you think it's just them knowing Lamar's limitations?
I think they set the system up to hide Lamar's limitations in a way. Yeah. It's basically just for him to excel. But at the end of the day, you know, after you've been playing in the league for 3 years, there's a shit ton of film produced to go and study and review and look over. And these dudes and these defensive coordinators are too smart. These defensive backs and these linemen and middle linebackers, they're just too smart. There's so much film out there now for them to just go over. And unless he's making like a superstar type play where he's out there spinning and making dudes fall to the ground and stuff like that and running it back, there's a lot of film for people to try to stop that. And at this point, I think it would be great for us to mix it up and start throwing some passing plays in, whether they be you know, some tight end screens, like some Andy Reid type plays where he throws screens for the guys, for some wide receiver screens, or just something that's better than just a check down. Because I mean, if you're playing, let's be honest, if you're playing Baltimore, you know, for one, they're going to run the ball, and for 2, they're going to throw it to the tight end. And I think also that showed us getting rid of Hayden Hurst. We're not running that jumbo set as much. Yep. We're missing that 3 tight end set that was really effective for him. I definitely kind of helped him out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that jumbo set you talked about, we would talk about it last year during games. I mean, how do you stop that? Like, you can't put linebackers on them guys. And, I mean, if you do put linebackers on them guys, they're going to beat you with the pass because them tight ends are so good against linebackers. But if you put DBs against there, like the Ravens are the number 1 rushing team in the league. So it was kind of a pick your poison. They went away from that. They do add Dez this week. I don't know how much of an impact he makes, or if you have an opinion on that. I have no idea what to expect with this. He hasn't been in the league since it's been a few years. So
I think it's something for them to try out for sure. Obviously, to me, if I'm a wide receiver, the Ravens aren't that appealing of a team to me because they clearly don't throw the ball. And you could tell that Hollywood was definitely a little frustrated by the tweet that he made last week. And I mean, it's definitely we talked about it briefly. It's definitely upsetting as a wide receiver when you run out there and you block maybe like 100 times and you get one target a game. And he's not a big guy either. He's 5'9", maybe 170 pounds. So for him, he's basically just a blocker or a decoy for the entire game for maybe 1 or 2 targets. And if he misses one of those passes, it's gonna look really shitty for him come contract time. If you get one or 2 and you miss one, it's like, goddamn. You caught 50% of your passes because you're only getting maybe 3 or 4 passes at best.
That's true. And
look at that whenever it comes to contract time.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to look at sacks. Analytics is a huge part of the NFL now, and that's something I didn't even think of. So Hollywood just kind of showing his frustration. Big game this week, and we'll get to that halfway through the season, as we discussed. So we're just going to kind of talk about, here is our NFC playoff picture. Nosebleed's trying to get fancy, and we appreciate all feedback from anyone. One of my friends kind of told me, hey, your show might be a little easier to watch if you had a little things pop up. So we're trying it, and we appreciate any feedback from anyone. And but getting back to the topic, NFC playoffs picture. So right now our division leaders, we got the Seattle Seahawks, Green Bay Packers, Saints, the NFC least, Eagles, 3 wildcard teams. How do you see this division playing out? Who do you think the 3 wild cards are? And do you think any of these division leaders right now lose their lead in the next 9 weeks?
It's kind of a toss-up. You never know with Green Bay how good or bad they'll play. They're very inconsistent. And I think you might actually see the Bears sneak in there and steal a wild card spot. They've been playing pretty well too. Nick Foles has been playing pretty good. So,
yeah, their defense is good. I think that's always kind of been their identity. CEO Dylan Loxton letting us know that Dez caught it. I don't know, man. That's a long time ago, but I don't think he did. Didn't complete the process, but a lot of Cowboy fans still probably pretty upset with that. I'd like your pick for if there's going to be one the Bears over it. They still have to play each other twice this year. So they've yet to play, and I think that defense maybe could take away, not shut him down. I don't think anyone in the league can shut down Devontae Adams, but I think they could slow him down. But the Bears have got to get better at running the football. I think if they keep running the ball the way they are, it's going to be tough for them to be able to get some leads. But that's a good one. I could also see maybe the Bears sneaking in as the last wild card. Rams, very up and down football team. Some weeks they look like, man, this could be a Super Bowl team, and sometimes this team looks like they should be in the NFC East. So it's tough. It's tough to tell. The old Cardinals, 5-2, man, looking good. We talked about them. Bucks, Saints game. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I just don't. Do you see any shot at all that the Lions, Panthers, Washington football team, or Vikings sneak in the next 9 weeks?
Nah. I mean, with the Eagles division, I mean, you never know. Like,
yeah,
with
that's
that
true.
division, man, you could literally be like 4-12 and make it to the playoffs down there.
Yeah.
So you never know. That's probably the only division where I see maybe somebody the division leader switching up.
Yeah. That one, the big debate between the Saints and the Bucks, who's going to win that one? I think obviously both of them are a playoff team. I've got the Saints winning today as we get into, and the Bucks holding on to the wild card. Any shot Tom Brady can lead them to a division lead instead of just a wild card?
Nah, I don't think so, man. The Saints they're just too good at what they do. They know their identity. They don't go out there and try to do anything but that. They play their game every week, and they've been sticking to that. The only thing that I think might change for Alvin Kamara is maybe with Mike Thomas coming back, he may not see as many looks in the passing game, but I still think they'll be a great football team. Either way.
Yeah. I'm excited for Sunday Night Football. It's always nice when the Sunday night game is actually a good one. As we move on, we're going to talk about the AFC, kind of the same thing as we look at this. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers undefeated. They would currently have their only bye. Defending Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs is the number 2 seed leading their division. The Bills, who've been sleepwalking through some games, sitting at 6-2, leading their division. The Titans, who looked like maybe one of the best teams in the NFL, and then I had a couple slip ups, losing to the Bengals and Joe Burrow last week. Your Ravens first wild card, Colts second wild card. The Cleveland Browns are currently in the playoffs, and then the cutoff right there, we got the Vegas Raiders and the Miami Dolphins as the teams that are above 500. So kind of the same thing. I'll start this one off. I could see the Steelers slipping up and losing a game they're not supposed to, and then maybe the Ravens beating them later on in the season. I could see the Steelers being a wild card team. I could see the Ravens taking over that. I don't see anyone catching the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they've got that division on lock. One seed, hopefully, but with this team, and we saw them all goofing around against the Jets. They could lose a couple for the rest of the season. I think they're still okay. Bills, I don't think the Dolphins catch them. I don't think the Patriots catch them. Titans, yeah, same. I got the Cleveland. So for my wild cards, I'm going to go, probably Ravens. I could definitely see them catching the Steelers, but as of today, I think they're the wild card. I think the Browns are the wild card. And I think the Miami Dolphins sneak in over the Colts. Not a big Colts believer still. Still don't believe in Phillip Rivers. They got a great defense, but I don't think that offense is good enough for them to get in the playoffs. What's your thoughts on the AFC?
I definitely see Miami sneaking in there. They definitely been playing a lot better than people expected. I didn't even expect them to be 4-3. I was just talking about this with one of my friends the other day. So I think they could possibly sneak in there. I think that the Ravens might be at best a wild card team, depending on how many games the Steelers may lose. The Browns are definitely sneaking there. I don't see anybody taking dethroning the Bills. And Kansas City, I think it'll just probably take for them to just lose one more game and just for them to be humbled. And I feel like they'll be right back in it. They were definitely playing a shitty team last week. You could tell dudes were dancing on the field and all of that. So,
yeah, for sure. With the Chiefs, I think it's just one of those things. You have the Super Bowl hangover, but they really didn't have it. They had the Texans that came out firing. They had the Ravens. That was their best game of the year. That team really wanted it. Their loss against the Raiders, I've caught, as a Chiefs fan, caught a lot of slack for it, and it's fine. But I think it's just one of them games like, let's look ahead, and they kind of got caught napping. So it's going to happen with an Andy Reid team every now and then. So not going to be too upset, but I just any shot the Raiders make the playoffs. I mean, they're right there. They're one game behind, and I just can't see it. I mean, I can't see Carr. They get better every week. Gruden, the coach, and everything. Everyone's saying, hey, watch out for this team. I just can't picture. I can't see it. I can't see it happening. Do you have any shot that the Raiders make the playoffs?
They definitely got the pieces too. I will give them that. They definitely have the pieces. But I just don't see it, man. That's just me personally. I just don't see it.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't see it happening.
We are a sports show, so we like to play what ifs. So, as we said, big topic of the day is that it is halfway through the season, and if the season started today, I just want to kind of run through and see what you think. We'll just talk about each matchup real quick, who wins, and then we'll not smart enough to fill out this bracket, but we'll just kind of talk about it and see who we think our Super Bowl winners are this year. So the first matchup in the NFC would be the Rams versus the Bucks. How do you feel about this one? Who would win?
I think I got the Bucks taking this one. They got the weapons. They've started to heat up a little bit. They started to build some chemistry down there. So I think they'll definitely sneak against that one. And another thing that people aren't talking about is that defense. That defense is nasty. That defense is pretty good. So I think a lot of the attention has been converted to the offense just because of Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, all of those star talent players. And Gronk started heating up too in the last couple of weeks. Especially, I kind of feel shitty because I dropped him in fantasy. But
somebody's happy.
Too. Yeah, somebody's happy for sure. But yeah, he's been heating up a lot. So I think they're starting to hit full stride. So I'm kind of excited to see how they play for the rest of the season.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm going to go with the Bucks here as well. For all the reasons you said, that defense is playing well. Sean McVay is a good coach. Let's not deny it. But I just don't know if he has enough tricks up his sleeve that if he gets shut down, if he can switch to something else. Next matchup, we got the Cards versus the Packs. I'm going to go with my first upset here. I think Kyler Murray and, maybe Chase Edmonds, Kenyon Drake and them guys, I think they can be a running attack. I mean, we saw what happened with Cap and the 49ers when they played the Packers. They couldn't stop the run. They just torched them, and I feel like it's going to be the same situation here if these two teams match up in the playoffs. I would have the Cardinals upsetting them, moving on to have to play the Seahawks. How do you feel?
I feel the same way. Like, when you think about it, who's going to stop DeAndre Hopkins? Nobody on that defense is going to stop DeAndre Hopkins. He's going to have a field day with them boys. So I do not see it happening. And then they have the pieces. People still forget they got Christian Kirk, they got Larry Fitzgerald. They have a decent at best running game. And then at times you got Kyler Murray sneaking out from the backfield and hitting you with a 15, 30-yard run every now and again. So and then on defense, Budda Baker's been balling this year too.
Yeah, so he got his first interception of his career. He just got broke off getting paid. So yeah, for sure. Yeah, so awesome. We both agree on that upset. Saints, Eagles. This comes down to me as if the Eagles' offensive line can get healthy. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Saints just because I think they're going to be the number 2 seed. But if the Eagles play the Bucks in this thing, I'm very interested in that if the Eagles get healthy. But I got to go with the Saints.
Yeah, easily Saints.
All right.
Not even going to disrespect them like
that. We'll go ahead and go on to the AFC. CEO Logston telling us that Buddy Baker, but we got it, is a defensive player of the year. Hey, that's true. Chandler Jones is out for the Cardinals, their best pass rusher, so he's really had to step it up as safety. Klep telling us we're crazy. What are we crazy about, Klep? Let us know.
And I think DK Metcalf took that defensive player of the year away from him.
He did the old sneak attack.
Whenever he chased them down, yeah.
Klep, hope you're doing well, bud, and I hope your Bengals get some offensive linemen so Joe Burrow can play in 2021.
Yeah.
Moving on to the AFC, we got the Browns and the Chiefs. I'm not even going to elaborate on this. It's Chiefs.
Yeah.
All right.
Clearly.
Colts, Bills. I'm also going to go Bills here. Don't mean to chalk it up, but like I said, not a believer in the Colts. Don't think the Colts are going to make the playoffs. So I'm going Bills.
Yeah, I'm going Bills as well.
Klepper says me too. Hope all's well, man. Hit us up. Let us know if you want to come on the show sometime. Me and Dion would love to talk some football with you and see how retirement's going.
Yeah, for sure.
Ravens, Titans. Rematch of last year. Don't mean to break your heart again. I'll go ahead and lead this one off, and I'm going to say Lamar gets his first playoff win because he's going to be 100% dialed in. He's going to be ready. I think he comes out and does that.
I think so too. I think the biggest thing was them just addressing the defense in the offseason, and I think they definitely did that, especially with our recent pickups that we've added to the team, covering up the middle, adding in Patrick Queen, going out and getting the defensive tackles and defensive linemen to be able to stop a Derrick Henry type of player.
Yeah,
I think that's really what it boiled down to. I think the GM office, they were thinking all season, like, what can we do to get past the Titans? Mm-hmm. Because he definitely exposed some gaps in our defense last year. And then, what do you say?
Ahead. I said Klepper, not a big Baker fan. For anyone watching, he is a Bengals fan. Baker is actually on the COVID list, not because he has COVID, but because he's on close contact. Luckily for him, the Cleveland Browns are on a bye this week, so he has to get 2 negative tests by Wednesday to be able to play next week. Maybe the Browns sneak in some fake positive. They can move on and have an excuse not to play him, but we'll see what happens. All right, We'll move on. Like I said, we both went with the Ravens. So in our second round, can't put it up on the screen because I'm not smart enough, but we would have the Seahawks versus the Cards rematch of last week. I got to go Seahawks. A bye week, time to prepare for whoever they think they need to prepare for. But Pete Carroll and them good boys, I think they're moving on to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. And then next we would have Bucks and Saints. We just keep getting these rematches. I love it. Two of the best divisions in the NFC placing off against each other. I'm going Saints, Seahawks in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
It would be nice to see. It really just depends on how what Antonio Brown does for that offense. I'm excited to see him play today, but it just depends on how all those guys gel together.
Yeah, we talked about it Thursday on our podcast episode of the Nosebleeds. If Antonio Brown, Godwin, and Mike Evans and Gronk are all healthy, in my eyes, there's no way a team can play man against them. They have to play zone. You cannot man up four people across the board like that and try to stop that running game. So um, that's going to be tough to defend. And if a team can figure that out, mad props, and their coach should get Coach of the Year. But as we move on, we'll go ahead and finish up the NFC real quick. We got Seahawks Saints. I'm rolling Seahawks as my beginning of the year prediction, so I'm rolling with them again. Hate to chalk it like that as the 1 seed, but Seahawks Saints. Who you got?
Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks moving on. So we're at the AFC, another divisional rematch. Ravens the lowest seed to win, and that as the wild card, so they have to face the undefeated Steelers. Another rematch of last week in the playoffs. I know this is hard for you, but Steelers Ravens. Who you got going to the AFC Championship?
Of course, I'm biased. I'm gonna say the Ravens every time.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with you, man. I'm going to roll with it as well. Lamar gets hot. They figure out that offense, and they go on. Next, we have the Chiefs Bills, and we've seen this game, and Chiefs pretty much walked all over them. I got the Chiefs moving on to play the Ravens in the AFC Championship.
Yeah, that'd be dope. That'd definitely be dope to see.
And we're not going to pick that one. We're just going to say whoever wins between the Chiefs and the Ravens beat the Seahawks and win the Super Bowl.
I can get that. That's cool.
I'll roll with that. I'm too biased to try to move on from that. Let's go ahead and talk about this week. It's always fun to talk about what ifs, but let's throw some projections out. We're not going to go against the spread this week. We're going to mix it up a little bit and just pick straight up winners. So our first game of the day, we have the Detroit Lions, who get Matty Stafford back. He was on the COVID list all week. I ended up dropping him in a fantasy league, and very upset with that because that Vikings defense is awful. We talked about it. They're one of the biggest disappointments of the year. The Lions, they've won a few games. They beat our Cardinals that we've talked about today. But any shot that Matt Patricia can come in to Minnesota and get this dub today?
Nah, I don't think so. I think Dalvin Cook's still on fire after an amazing week last week. I think you feed him the rock and you see what he can do. Hopefully he's been well rested and recuperated. Yeah, he's ready to get up back out there and go. Yeah, I think that's what you do. You just get on his back and let him take you as far as he can take you.
Yeah, and I mean, like you talked about in that division, Green Bay, it's highs, it's lows. They're 2-5. They go on a run. It's going to take a big run, but they only lose one more game or two more games this year. They could be a playoff team. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. I'm going to go with the upset this week. Not a big Matt Patricia fan, but Kenny Galladay's out. It's just something about the Vikings. I haven't liked them. I didn't like them before the year. I still don't like them. But Dalvin Cook, great football player, and he's going to be hard to stop. He could go off for 4 touchdowns again easily. We will move on to Carolina Panthers, who do get Christian McCaffrey back this week. How much they use him, I think, is the big question of this game. Mike Davis has just been – I don't want to say as good. That's hard to say. But we're a sports show, and we take hot takes. And I think he's filled in just as well as CMC. So do they maybe take some of the load off of CMC this week? Kansas City, we talked about underrated defenses. They've been pretty underrated. They're pretty banged up. Offensive line. But Kansas City wins this game. Teddy is, he's great at keeping games close, but there's no way that they keep up with Kansas City. I don't see it happening.
No, I don't see it happening either. It's easy win for Kansas City this week.
Yeah, I feel you there. Now, the surprising game. No, you're not a big gambler, but Vegas is trying to tell us that the Ravens are only 1-point favorites against the Indianapolis Colts. Ravens. So if you take the Colts, you only get 1 point. Big surprise for me. Ravens versus Colts. I think the Ravens have a big bounce back game. Big Phillip Rivers guy. That D-line against the Colts O-line is the matchup of the week. That D-line is good. You talked about it. Colts O-line, I'd say without a doubt the best in the NFL. But, can the D-line get after Phillip? I think they can. No T.Y. Hilton, but we've talked about how ineffective T.Y. has been. I got the Ravens here.
Yeah, I think their secondary is just too good.
Yeah.
The defensive secondary for the Ravens is just too good. I think they can shut down those wide receivers. And as long as Lamar Jackson doesn't turn the ball over 4 times and we don't get 100 yards worth of penalties, I think we'll be good to go.
I agree with that. I don't know if I could name 3 wide receivers on the Colts right now. So there's that, Trey. But I mean, I just don't see this one. This is a lock of the week, a big betting game. I have, don't want to put the finances out there, but big bet on this one.
Yeah.
Next, we have Seattle versus the Bills. Seahawks coming in, and one of the best teams in the NFC. AFC, the Bills, like I said, they've been sleepwalking through some games. Cheech, who is on a work trip, long extended work trip. Hope he is doing well and enjoying life wherever he may be. Says Baker Mayfield is the GOAT. Maybe one day. Hope you're doing well, Cheech. Seahawks, best team in the NFC. Bills, winning their division for whatever that's worth. I'm still going to go Seahawks here. Let Russ cook, and I think the Bills' defense hasn't been as good as it should be. So I got to go Seahawks here.
I'm going to go with an upset here just because I like the way Josh Allen's been playing this year. So I think I'm going to go with the upset on this one this week.
Okay. If you're going to go with an upset, I feel like Josh Allen and the boys is a good one.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with upset on the next one. I'm going to take the Bears and the Titans. Now, this is a big game. I don't think it's getting talked about enough just because of the Sunday night game. But both of these teams are kind of on losing streaks, and the Bears need this just as bad as the Titans do. Cheech telling us Lamar should stay next year in college. He's young. He is young. It's kind of a weird thing. And Trey's upset with that, of course, to be understandable.
I don't think he should have stayed an extra year in college. I think it would have been nice if he could have did what Patrick Mahomes did and sat behind a veteran quarterback for a year and just learned from him. We'll say that. But, I mean, we didn't really have that. Yeah, we didn't have that in Joe Flacco, so we kind of got dealt the cards we got dealt.
Yeah, you had to put him in. So I'm going with Bears over Titans in this one. I think they just have to have it. Both teams, I think, do because like I said, Colts beat the Ravens. They're all of a sudden the division leader. So that's why I'm going Bears with this one. Who you got?
I'm going Bears as well. I was laughing at the next one.
Whole snooze fest on the next one, but a lot of people are saying the Broncos could make a playoff run. I normally don't say his name, but I hate Drew Lock, man. I hate him. And, a lot of people are surprised that I hate him because, I get called Drew Lock at work, but I don't want to talk about that because I hate the guy. He's danced on the sideline doing whatever he does, and, he hasn't won anything yet. So sit down and be humble, kid. I'm going to go with Falcons because I hate the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Falcons as well. And Drew Lock is very Baker Mayfield-ish. He's the 2020 Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
baby
Baker. Baby Baker. I like that. Yeah. Cheech telling us Eagles got to go with Jalen Hurts. I think all of the city of brotherly love is going with that as well. Drew Lock is more blind than Phillip Rivers. That's pretty blind. That's pretty blind. So big statement there by old Cheech. Next game, we got, unfortunately, another snooze fest. Billy O'Brien really messed up the Texans, destroyed that whole organization, trading away everyone who is good and taking on bad contracts. I'm a big Deshaun Watson guy. I love watching Deshaun Watson play. Lost some money because of my love for Deshaun Watson. But I'm still going with the Texans over the Jags. They are not going with their normal quarterback. They got a backup. Couldn't even tell you his name. Didn't even look it up. Irrelevant in my eyes. The Jags have been awful. They're one of the worst teams. They beat the Colts week 1, and everyone kind of got excited for them, but not seeing it. And I'm seeing Deshaun Watson getting a big stat day. If you play daily fantasy football, I'd lock him in.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I'm taking the Texans here as well. I think they just need a big win to just gel that team together so that they can try to make a playoff run here late in the season.
Well, I like it. Next, we got the NFC East. Man, we just got 3 snooze fests in a row. We got the Giants versus the Washington Red Potatoes. I'm going Red Potatoes here simply because of the D-line. And Danny Dimes is just not the guy. I think a lot of debate on if they should take a quarterback. The Giants take a quarterback. Get the kid out of Ohio State. Get whoever you can. Trade Danny Dimes to the Steelers because they're going to need a quarterback next year. Do whatever you can, but upgrade that quarterback position.
Yeah, definitely. I'll take the red potatoes here as well.
Let's go. Hey, one day they're going to be called the red potatoes, and it started here first. One of the games of the week we're going to go, or my bad, skipped a game. We got the Raiders versus the Chargers. I hate both these teams, but I'm going to go with the Raiders here just because, the Chargers just gave away King, one of their top corners, one of the best corners in the NFL for a 6th-round pick. So I feel like they're kind of a wash for this year. I feel like they've almost just kind of given up. Taking the Raiders here to get a dub because they're fighting for the playoffs, and the Chargers are literally fighting for nothing but to make Herbert better.
Yeah, definitely. I'll take the Raiders here as well. They've been playing pretty good so far. They've been playing better than expected.
Yeah,
so far they definitely have the pieces. So we'll see how the season pans out for them.
I like it. Next game, underrated game of the week. We got the B-Flow, great coach, and the Dolphins is building a great secondary, great defense out there against Kyler Murray and the Ballers of the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, I'm very excited about this game. I am. But coming off a bye, I'm going to go with the Cardinals. The Dolphins literally don't have a running back. I don't know who's playing running back there. Howard's been awful. They're beat up at running back, and I don't know who they play, and got to keep Kyler Murray off the field to get a dub, and I don't know if they're able to do that. And I think Kyler kind of runs all over him today and pulls off a big win.
Yeah, definitely. The same question I've been asking all day: who's going to stop DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody will one day. This next one, I'd say be easy. I hate to make you pick the Steelers, but the Cowboys are a terrible football team. They haven't played well. Their quarterback's getting their first start. I mean, the offensive line's banged up. The Steelers, I've had a lot of Steelers fans tell me to watch out, though, because Mike Tomlin is he's been known for after big games to lose a terrible game. There's no way this team loses the Cowboys, though. I could see them losing down the road to maybe the Bengals or something, but I can't see it. I can't picture it. Trigger Trey telling us that he's going with the upset of the Dolphins. Wouldn't be upset with that pick. Wouldn't upset with that pick at all. I think it's a solid pick. Big B-Flow guy, so I could see that. Any shot the Cowboys win?
No.
Yeah.
No. They are the worst team in football. They have all the talent, and they continue to suck year after year. So, no.
Yep. When they're down, we kick them down. Saints, Bucks, I think we agree on this one. But, this is a big historic game. Every game that Tom Brady plays, Andrew Brees plays, the record for most NFL touchdown passes of all time gets broke. It's a big historic matchup. Saints get Michael Thomas back. Bucks get Antonio Brown back. This game's coming on at 2:30 a.m. for me, and I'm definitely staying up to watch it. Very interested. The only thing I want to say is the Saints secondary is the most confusing thing in all of sports to me. One week, one play, they look like the absolute greatest secondary in the NFL, and the next week, you got the Minneapolis Miracle. So I got to go Saints here just because Michael Thomas and Kamara and even Latavius Murray, and I think that offensive line is good enough to keep noodle arm Drew Brees in this game. I've got the Saints to shut down Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I got the Saints here. I need Michael Thomas to go out there and get like 200 yards, 4 touchdowns. I'm trying to make that run in fantasy. I'm like 2-6, all because he got hurt during week 1. Lost my first draft pick, so it's been a shitty year in fantasy.
Nobody does good when their first-round draft pick just goes down. I mean, Saquon guys, they all know that. But definitely,
I think they definitely win this game.
I feel the same way, too. I think it's going to be a good one, but I've been talking crap on Tom Brady for about 6 months now, so I need the Saints to pull this one off. Next, we got the old Jets. Just terrible. Versus the Patriots, who have not been the team that they're supposed to be. Vegas says this is only a touchdown game. That's crazy to me. And I got the Pats in this one to win Monday Night Football. I'm not saying they're getting on a run or anything like that, but I think they're able to pull this one off.
Yeah, definitely. I think they would definitely win.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. So that has pretty much been our episode. It's been a lot of fun having you on, Dion. I'm gonna have to get on here. Living overseas is a little harder to set up red zone and stuff. A lot of fun games to watch this week. Definitely gonna have the Chiefs turned on. Got to have the Ravens Colts turned on. Trying to have like a B-dub set up in my house. Pat Mack, if you watch his show, his setup is just awesome. About to get a bunch of cheap 32-inch TVs and just screw them into my walls so I can watch all the games. But I appreciate you coming and hope to have you on again, man. And hope Lamar and the Ravens can. You know what? You've won enough championships, so I hope they just get to the AFC Championship game and that's it. But hope all you and your family have a good week, man.
All right, man. You too, brother.
Later.